The Saudi Arabian royal family, renowned for its opulence throughout King Salman's reign and the extravagant lives of its princes and princesses, now faces a dire predicament. The very affluence that once defined their splendor has plunged them into a cycle of financial scandals and internal strife. This turmoil has entangled King Salman in a web of difficulties, compelling him to enforce profound changes to their way of life. Let's see how life has changed for the Saudi royal family over the years. We all know that upon his coronation, King Salman inherited a substantial portion of the immense wealth amounting to $1.4 trillion. As of July 2017, his personal net worth was reported to be around $17 billion. While this figure might seem extraordinary to many, it represents only a fraction of the royal family's overall fortune, especially when considering the extensive obligations and financial responsibilities King Salman bears. The vast network of his extended family and the associated costs of maintaining their lifestyles substantially impact the distribution of the royal wealth. King Salman and his half-brother, King Abdullah, are both sons of King Abdul Aziz, the founder of modern Saudi Arabia. King Abdul Aziz, known for his significant role in shaping the nation's history, had a notably large family by any standard. He reportedly had 22 wives and fathered 46 children. For most families around the world, such a large number of immediate family members would be extraordinary. But within the House of Saud, this is not atypical. The structure of the Saudi royal family and the broader cultural context in which it operates place a high value on large families. Saudi Arabian royalty is permitted to have multiple wives, and there is a cultural and financial incentive for these wives to bear numerous children. The rationale behind this is both traditional and pragmatic. Larger families can translate into increased wealth, as each child and their family are typically allocated a portion of the royal family's income. This system effectively means that more children can equate to more substantial monthly payments to their respective families, ensuring their continued financial support and influence. In this context, the financial benefits of having many children become apparent. For some members of the royal family, having a large number of offspring can be highly lucrative. Each new child represents not just an extension of the family, but also a new avenue for distributing wealth and consolidating financial resources. This dynamic underscores the intersection of traditional values and modern financial strategies within the royal family, where both historical practices and contemporary financial realities shape their way of life. King Salman's private life remains shrouded in a veil of mystery, reflecting the often opaque nature of personal affairs within the Saudi royal family. Reports suggest that King Salman has been married 3 times, though details about his marriages and personal relationships are typically guarded. By 2015, it was estimated that he had fathered 13 children, a figure that underscores the vast extent of his immediate family and the intricate web of relationships within the House of Saud. The complexity of King Salman's personal life, with its numerous siblings, children, and grandchildren, inevitably leads to a considerable amount of jealousy and rivalry among the members of the royal family. The House of Saud, composed of thousands of descendants of the late King Abdul Aziz, is a sprawling dynasty with a complex hierarchy and a history of intense intra-family competition. King Abdul Aziz, the founder of modern Saudi Arabia, had a prolific family, and his numerous children and their descendants now form a vast and intricate network. This sprawling lineage has given rise to significant internal competition as various members vie for prominence, power, and influence within the royal family. The immense wealth and status associated with being a part of the House of Saud exacerbate these rivalries, making the stakes incredibly high. Marriage within the royal family often serves as a strategic move to consolidate power and re-establish or reinforce status within the dynasty. Many of the thousands of descendants of King Abdul Aziz marry other members of the ruling family to secure or elevate their positions. These unions are not just about personal relationships, but are also strategic maneuvers to strengthen alliances, secure financial resources, and bolster family influence. The intricate web of relationships and rivalries means that any perceived betrayal or misstep is dealt with swiftly and decisively. The House of Saud has a long history of taking strong actions against members who are seen to step out of line or act against the interests of the family. Such actions are often intended to maintain internal harmony and prevent any challenges to the established order. In 1977, a heart-wrenching tale unfolded involving 19-year-old Princess Michelle, a young woman whose life was marred by tragic circumstances and ultimately ended in a dramatic and controversial manner. Her story begins with a forced marriage at a tender age, a fate not uncommon for women of her status and era. At just 19, Michelle was compelled into a union that was more a matter of political and social convenience than of love or personal choice. Her marriage, though formalized, was fraught with difficulties from the start. Despite being separated from her husband and living apart, he adamantly refused to grant her a divorce. This refusal was not born of affection or commitment, but rather of a desire to retain the prestige and social standing that came with being linked to the royal family. The notion of divorcing her would diminish his status and the associated advantages he enjoyed from their marital connection. Thus, Princess Michelle remained in a state of marital limbo, a prisoner of her husband's refusal to end the union. As the years passed, Michelle's life took a dramatic turn when she found solace and affection in the arms of Khaled, the Saudi ambassador to Lebanon. Their relationship, however, was doomed from the start. In a society where the line between personal actions and public scrutiny is often razor-thin, their affair was soon discovered. The House of Saud, with its strict adherence to cultural and religious norms, viewed Michelle's infidelity as a grave violation of moral codes and royal propriety. The scandal quickly escalated from a private matter to a public spectacle. The consequences for Michelle and Khaled were severe and brutal. The intensity of the backlash from their affair led to their public execution, a punishment meant to serve as a stark warning against breaches of societal and religious norms. Their deaths were a dramatic and tragic culmination of a series of events driven by a combination of personal misfortune and rigid cultural expectations. The execution of Princess Michelle and Khaled was widely condemned and sparked outrage both within the country and internationally. Their story was later immortalized in the documentary Death of a Princess, which brought the tragic tale to a global audience. The film detailed the harrowing events leading up to their deaths and the subsequent impact on public sentiment. It highlighted the stark realities of the consequences faced by those who defied entrenched social norms and showcased the clash between personal desires and societal expectations. The public reaction to the documentary was one of shock and indignation. Many were appalled by the brutal treatment meted out to Michelle and Khaled and the moral and ethical questions it raised about the intersection of personal freedom and societal control. The documentary's release spurred discussions about the harsh realities faced by women in similar situations and the broader implications for human rights and justice within authoritarian contexts. In 2012, a violent confrontation in a desert camp marked the beginning of a significant scandal involving Prince Turki, a member of Saudi Arabia's royal family. During the altercation, Prince Turki committed a grave and violent act against another man. The nature of the crime was such that it threatened to undermine the image of accountability and justice that the royal family sought to project, particularly to the younger generation within their ranks. In response to the incident, the Saudi authorities decided to make an example of Prince Turki. The ruling elite were determined to send a clear and unambiguous message. No one, regardless of their status, was above the law. This decision mirrored the drastic measures taken years earlier with Princess Michelle, whose public execution had been a stark demonstration of the lengths to which the royal family would go to enforce their moral and legal codes. Prince Turki faced the same dire fate, his execution serving as a powerful statement to both the domestic populace and the royal family's younger members about the consequences of flouting the law. Following the execution, King Salman addressed the nation in a highly publicized speech, asserting that no member of the royal family, himself included, was immune from the country's laws. His statement was intended to reinforce the idea that justice was impartial and that even those with the highest social standing were subject to legal scrutiny. King Salman's address was seen as an effort to restore faith in the legal system and to quell any burgeoning discontent regarding perceived royal impunity. However, the king's declarations were met with skepticism by many. Despite the seemingly progressive stance on accountability, the reality on the ground suggested otherwise. Over the years, numerous reports have highlighted that members of the royal family have often managed to circumvent the law with relative ease. This ongoing disparity between official pronouncements and actual practice fueled widespread cynicism about the true nature of justice and accountability within the kingdom. One of the most egregious examples of this disparity involves the exploitation of land ownership and transactions. Wealthy princes within the House of Saud have reportedly engaged in a lucrative but morally dubious scheme, forcibly acquiring land from commoners and then reselling it to the government at inflated prices for substantial profits. In many other jurisdictions, such practices would be considered highly illegal, attracting severe penalties such as lengthy prison sentences and hefty fines. Yet, in Saudi Arabia, these actions have often gone unpunished, reflecting a troubling pattern of impunity that undermines the rule of law. The persistence of such practices reveals a deeper issue within the kingdom, a systemic failure to enforce legal standards uniformly. The disparity between the ideal of legal equality espoused by the monarchy and the actual behavior of its members highlights the challenges facing efforts to achieve genuine reform. The protection afforded to the royal family, combined with their ability to influence legal and political outcomes, perpetuates a system where personal and financial interests can override justice and accountability. In 2012, a striking example of the privilege and impunity enjoyed by some members of the Saudi royal family emerged from Paris. A Saudi princess whose identity was not publicly disclosed reportedly exploited her royal status to an extraordinary degree. She had booked 41 rooms at the prestigious Shangri-La Hotel, a luxury five-star establishment in the heart of Paris, for a span of 5 months. When the time came to settle the bill, which was substantial given the duration and the opulence of the hotel, the princess reportedly left without paying any of the charges. The incident drew considerable attention, illustrating the stark contrast between the privileges of royalty and the financial burdens faced by ordinary citizens. The princess's extravagant behavior did not end with her unpaid hotel bill. She also engaged in a lavish shopping spree in Paris, where she amassed a staggering $20 million worth of purchases. However, when the time came to settle her bill, she allegedly presented the cashier with an IOU instead of an actual payment. This bold disregard for financial responsibility and contractual obligations underscored the extent to which some royal family members believe they can act with impunity, leveraging their status to evade normal accountability. For the average Saudi citizen, such acts of extravagance and impunity starkly contrast with their everyday reality. Ordinary Saudis are subject to strict Islamic laws and regulations that govern many aspects of daily life. These laws are rigorously enforced, and transgressions can lead to severe penalties. The disparity between the treatment of royal family members and common citizens highlights a significant inequity within the kingdom. A notable example of this disparity was evident when 2 Saudi men decided to emulate a popular YouTube trend of giving out free hugs. Inspired by the positive and communal spirit of the video, they carried out their own version in Riyadh, the capital city of Saudi Arabia. However, their act of goodwill was met with swift and harsh repercussions. The House of Saud, which upholds strict interpretations of Islamic law, viewed the act as an exotic practice and a violation of cultural norms. The two men were promptly arrested, underscoring the rigid enforcement of laws and the limited tolerance for activities deemed nonconformist. The juxtaposition of these incidents reveals a stark and troubling disparity in how laws and norms are applied within Saudi Arabia. While members of the royal family can operate with a high degree of freedom and impunity, ordinary citizens face severe consequences for even minor deviations from accepted behavior. The luxury and excess enjoyed by some royal members stand in sharp contrast to the strict legal environment that governs the lives of the general population. The Saudi royal family's public adherence to strict religious and legal norms often starkly contrasts with the private behaviors of some of its members. This discrepancy between public expectation and private practice is exemplified by their handling of Saudi Arabia's strict prohibition on alcohol. The kingdom enforces a stringent ban on alcohol. It is illegal to produce, import, or consume it within the country. Violations of this law can result in severe penalties, including arrest, fines, and even corporal punishment. The prohibition is rooted in the country's commitment to Islamic law, which forbids alcohol consumption. However, despite the strict enforcement of these laws on the general populace, there are allegations that some members of the royal family engage in behavior that contradicts their public stance on such issues. Reports have surfaced suggesting that the royal elite sometimes partake in secret, extravagant parties where alcohol flows freely, revealing a significant gap between the public and private practices of the royal family. One particularly notable instance occurred in 2012 when consulate officials in the port city of Jeddah described a clandestine Halloween party thrown by a wealthy Saudi prince. The event was reportedly held in secret to avoid the scrutiny that would accompany such gatherings if they were publicly known. The party, which catered to a large crowd of over 150 Saudi men and women, featured a fully stocked bar and an array of alcoholic beverages, a stark violation of the kingdom's stringent alcohol laws. The presence of alcohol at the party and the fact that it was hosted by a royal figure highlighted a troubling disconnect between the laws enforced upon the general population and the behavior of the royal family. The opulent lifestyle of the Saudi royal family has long been a defining feature of the House of Saud, with its members enjoying substantial financial benefits simply for being part of the royal lineage. This system of wealth distribution within the family highlights the extent to which the royal family has historically rewarded its members, perpetuating a culture of excess and entitlement. In the mid-1990s, the financial rewards for being part of the royal family were substantial, reflecting both the wealth of the nation and the privileged status of its members. At the lower end of the hierarchy, even the least prominent members of the family received a monthly stipend of $800. While this amount might seem modest compared to contemporary standards, it was a significant sum given the context and the relative economic conditions of the time. For the direct descendants of King Abdul Aziz, the founder of modern Saudi Arabia, the financial rewards were considerably more generous. Surviving sons of King Abdul Aziz received monthly allowances ranging from $200,000 to $270,000. This substantial income underscored the high value placed on the direct lineage of the founder, reflecting both the historical and political significance of these individuals within the royal family. Their financial security was indicative of their esteemed status and the resources available to maintain their luxurious lifestyles. The financial perks extended to the grandchildren and great-grandchildren of King Abdul Aziz as well, though at more modest levels compared to his direct descendants. Grandchildren of the founder received a monthly allowance of $27,000, while great-grandchildren were allocated $13,000 per month. These allowances ensured that even the more distant relatives of the founder enjoyed a comfortable standard of living, contributing to a culture of affluence that permeated the entire royal family. The system of payments also included bonuses for significant life events, such as marriages, further incentivizing family members to expand their households. This structure not only provided additional financial benefits, but also encouraged the proliferation of royal family members, as each new marriage and birth could potentially lead to increased allowances and bonuses. Consequently, this financial incentive contributed to a rapid expansion of the family tree. In the latter years of his reign, King Abdullah, who ruled Saudi Arabia from 2005 until his death in 2015, made several attempts to reform the privileges and practices within the Saudi royal family. These efforts, while aimed at modernizing and streamlining the royal family's operations, were met with significant resistance and controversy. One of King Abdullah's notable reforms began in 2007, when he sought to curtail the extravagant privileges that had long been a hallmark of royal life. This initiative was part of a broader strategy to address issues of excess and entitlement within the royal family, reflecting a desire to align more closely with the kingdom's contemporary economic and social goals. However, these changes were far from universally popular among the royal members. One of the most significant reforms was the decision to cut off cell phone service for thousands of princes and princesses. Prior to this move, the royal family enjoyed extensive and unrestricted access to high-end telecommunications services, which were seen as a symbol of their elite status. The removal of this benefit was intended to reduce unnecessary expenditures and symbolize a move towards a more disciplined and less ostentatious approach to royal life. Additionally, King Abdullah's reforms included the cancellation of prepaid luxury hotel suites at the royal family's preferred hotels. This move was aimed at curbing the lavish and often excessive use of these accommodations, which had previously been a mark of royal privilege. By eliminating this benefit, King Abdullah sought to address concerns about waste and to promote a more restrained approach to luxury. Another major change was the abolition of an old rule that permitted royal family members to request unlimited airline tickets. This policy allowed royals to fly extensively without financial constraints, reflecting their status and the kingdom's vast resources. However, under King Abdullah's new regulations, this practice was curtailed, and only a limited number of free tickets were allowed per individual. The implementation of these new rules led to a notable incident involving the wife of a prince. She attempted to board a flight with 12 of her closest companions, all of whom expected to fly at no cost, based on the previous privileges. The new policy, which limited the number of free guests to 2, was met with her outraged response. This incident exemplified the backlash against King Abdullah's reforms and highlighted the deep-seated resistance among certain royal family members to the loss of their accustomed benefits. Even amid the reforms initiated by King Abdullah aimed at curbing the excesses of the Saudi royal family, the top echelons of the House of Saud continue to enjoy remarkable privileges and indulge in extravagant expenditures. The lifestyle of these elite members remains a testament to the enduring affluence that accompanies their royal status, showcasing their ability to make lavish purchases and live opulently, despite broader efforts to impose financial discipline. A striking example of this extravagance can be traced back to 2007, when a prominent Saudi prince made headlines for his purchase of a private jet. This wasn't just any aircraft. The jet was custom-designed with luxury fittings and high-end furniture, reflecting the prince's penchant for exclusivity and opulence. The value of the jet was estimated at around $500 million, underscoring the scale of the investment and the extent of the royal family's financial resources. However, the jet never even saw its first flight. Before it could be used, the prince decided to sell it. This quick turnaround from acquisition to sale highlighted not just the financial power of the royal family, but also their ability to engage in high-stakes transactions with ease. Another notable example of royal indulgence involves Deputy Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, a key figure in the Saudi royal family known for his ambitious vision and substantial wealth. In a display of spontaneous opulence, Prince Mohammed bin Salman encountered a super yacht while in the south of France. The yacht, a symbol of luxury and a prized possession for many wealthy individuals, caught his eye and ignited his interest. Without hesitation, the prince made an offer for the yacht right then and there. The deal was completed within a few hours, demonstrating not only the prince's capacity for swift and decisive action in high-value transactions, but also his willingness to indulge in luxury on a whim. These instances of high-end purchases by royal family members illustrate the extent to which some members of the House of Saud continue to live in extraordinary luxury despite the broader efforts at reform. The purchase of a custom-designed jet and a super yacht are emblematic of the royal family's enduring wealth and their ability to maintain a lifestyle of excess. Such purchases also reflect the broader context of financial privilege within the royal family, where the ability to make significant and lavish acquisitions remains a mark of status and power. The glamorous image of life as a Saudi princess often contrasts starkly with the more mundane and confining reality experienced behind the palace walls. While the public perception of royal life is often one of opulence and endless luxury, the personal experiences of some princesses reveal a more restrained and isolated existence. A former nanny who worked within the royal palaces has offered a rare glimpse into the everyday lives of the princesses, shedding light on the less visible aspects of their existence. According to her accounts, the reality of being a princess, despite the outward appearance of grandeur, involves a significant degree of confinement and monotony. Each day, the princesses would dress up in beautiful, pre-made gowns, an outward sign of their royal status and the luxury that accompanies it. These gowns, often elaborately designed and crafted from high-end materials, were intended to reflect their elite position within the royal family. However, despite the stunning appearance of these garments, the princesses rarely had the opportunity to showcase them outside the confines of the palace. The gowns, while beautiful, became a symbol of the restricted and insular nature of their daily lives. The princesses' daily routine was characterized by a lack of variety and external engagement. They would spend their nights watching television, an activity that provided some form of entertainment, but also highlighted the limited scope of their interactions. The hours spent in front of the screen would extend late into the night, followed by days spent sleeping in their large, opulent bedrooms. The size and luxury of their sleeping quarters contrasted sharply with the monotony of their days. Isolation was a defining feature of their existence. The princesses were confined to the palace with limited opportunities to venture outside or engage with the broader world. This confinement was not merely physical, but also social, as their interactions were largely restricted to one another. The palace, while a place of luxury and comfort, became a sort of gilded cage, with the princesses largely isolated from external experiences and social interactions. The dramatic shift in the lives of the daughters of the late King Abdullah offers a compelling and poignant illustration of how rapidly fortunes can change within the Saudi royal family. Their experiences reflect a transformation from a life of unparalleled luxury to one marked by isolation and deprivation, driven by a combination of personal and familial upheaval. In their early years, the daughters of King Abdullah lived what many would describe as a fairy tale existence. Their father, whose wealth was estimated at $15 billion, afforded them a lifestyle characterized by extravagant luxury and endless opportunities. They frequently traveled to Europe, indulging in skiing trips and staying in some of the continent's most opulent resorts. Their shopping excursions were equally lavish, with significant sums spent on silk robes, high-end clothing, and an array of luxurious accessories. The royal family's substantial wealth allowed them to enjoy such pleasures without restraint. Jewelry and tiaras were among the many gifts that King Abdullah showered upon his daughters, further emphasizing their elevated status and the luxury that accompanied their royal lineage. Their home life was equally lavish, residing in a palace valued at an astonishing $740 million, which even included a helipad to accommodate their personal helicopter. This level of opulence was a testament to the immense resources and status enjoyed by the family during these years. However, this fairy tale life took a dramatic turn following the departure of their mother. The queen consort, who had been married to King Abdullah since she was just 15 and he was 48, fled to London in a bid to escape her unhappy marriage. Her departure was not merely a personal escape, but also a significant turning point for the family dynamics. The marriage, which had been fraught with difficulties due to the significant age gap and personal dissatisfaction, was strained further by the fact that she had only borne daughters and no sons. In the traditional context of the Saudi royal family, the inability to produce a male heir was seen as a serious shortcoming. The departure of their mother had far-reaching repercussions for the princesses. King Abdullah's response to his wife's departure was harsh and punitive. His anger was redirected towards his daughters, who found themselves increasingly isolated and confined within the palace walls. The once grand life of luxury and freedom was replaced by a stark and oppressive existence. The princesses were reportedly forced to live in separate dark quarters within the palace, cut off from the external world and from the privileges they had previously enjoyed. The luxurious trips and generous gifts that had once been a hallmark of their lives were abruptly halted. The sudden shift in their circumstances underscored the profound impact of their mother's departure on their status and treatment within the royal family. Their father's decision to forbid them from marrying compounded their sense of entrapment, leaving them unable to seek a new life or escape their confined existence. In recent years, the Saudi royal family has initiated a series of notable reforms, reflecting a shift in policy and approach that aims to modernize the kingdom and align it more closely with contemporary global standards. These changes, particularly under the leadership of King Salman and his son, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, represent a significant departure from traditional practices and offer a glimpse into the evolving vision for Saudi Arabia's future. In 2017, a pivotal shift occurred within the royal succession when King Salman made a bold decision to oust his nephew as the next in line to the throne and appointed his son, Mohammed bin Salman, as the deputy crown prince. This move was not merely a change in leadership, but also a strategic repositioning to address the changing dynamics of the kingdom. Mohammed bin Salman, often referred to as MBS, is significantly younger than many of his counterparts, which allows him to better connect with the younger Saudi population and understand their needs and aspirations. One of Mohammed bin Salman's key initiatives has been to reduce the number of Saudis traveling abroad for leisure, a trend that has been prevalent due to a lack of domestic entertainment options. His vision for the kingdom includes creating a more vibrant and enjoyable domestic environment to retain Saudi citizens within the country. This approach is part of a broader strategy to diversify the Saudi economy and reduce its dependence on oil revenues, aligning with the goals outlined in Vision 2030, a comprehensive plan for economic and social reform. As part of this transformative agenda, significant cultural and social changes have been introduced. A landmark reform was the lifting of a 1982 ban on movie theaters in Saudi Arabia. This long-standing prohibition had been a notable absence in the country's entertainment landscape, and its removal marks a major shift towards greater cultural openness. The reintroduction of cinemas is a symbolic and practical step in enhancing the quality of life for Saudis, offering them new avenues for leisure and cultural engagement. In addition to the return of movie theaters, Saudi Arabia has embraced a variety of other forms of entertainment. The introduction of comedy shows, monster truck competitions, and even a Comic-Con convention in the capital city, Riyadh, reflects a broader effort to diversify and enrich the entertainment options available to the public. These events represent a significant cultural shift, moving towards a more open and inclusive entertainment landscape. Another notable reform, effective from June 2018, was the lifting of the ban on women driving. This decision was a groundbreaking change in Saudi Arabia's social policy, aimed at enhancing women's rights and providing them with greater independence and mobility. The move was widely anticipated and welcomed by many within and outside the kingdom, marking a significant step towards gender equality in Saudi society. What do you think about the life of the Saudi royal family today? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.